This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Can you fly this plane and land it?
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Live from the basement of the YouTube headquarters, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and you've heard of financial independence retire early, aka the FIRE movement, right? Well, then there was Coast Fire, where you save enough to get on track, Barista Fire, where you take on small jobs, and even my personal favorite, Dumpster Fire, where you have absolutely no clue what you're doing. Today, we're expanding that envelope and asking our panel of financial enthusiasts about Reverse Fire. What is it? Well, stick around to find out. And you know what else you'll find out? Who's going to win today's installment of our year-long trivia competition? That's what. And now, a guy who learned reverse with his money before finding first gear, it's Joe Saul-Sehy.
Hey there, Stackers, and happy Friday. So happy that you're here. Welcome to another edition of the Stacking Benjamin Show. I am Joe Saul-Sehy, and I can't wait to talk about this because, of course, Doug, everybody else talks about how important the FIRE movement is. Leave it to Stacking Benjamins that we're like, what if we do this whole thing backwards?
Wait a minute. We got a different thought.
What if we look behind us and go the other way? It's going to be fun. So strap in, everybody. Get ready for a wild ride because we're going to introduce the team that helps us on Fridays with these discussions, starting with the gentleman across the card table from me. Oh, geez, here. How are you, man?
Back away from the camera.
Hey-oh.
Hey, I'm right here. Take a step back.
Super happy that you're here with us. And he's getting it all together. And the woman in Manhattan, high above Manhattan, Paula Pant is here from Afford Anything. How are you?
I am so happy to be here. I can't wait for today's discussion. We got a good one.
You're just like Friday in reverse. Actually, it's Friday. We want to go forward to Saturday, don't we?
Yeah, you know. But if you love your work, Friday, you just want to be in the present.
Forever. And we're going to talk about how great that is to extend the Friday. And even because these are older people that we're going to be talking about too, is that extending Friday like extending the autumn of your life?
Maybe. Autumn's, yeah, maybe. I mean, autumn, I think it's my favorite season. It's in my opinion, the best season of the year. You know, sweater weather.
It is sweater weather. You know what? And we had a great autumn the year we found out that we were having twins, which is why my daughter's named Autumn.
Aww.
True story. And then because they're twins, then my son goes, "Oh, that's a great story, Dad. How did I get my name?" And we go, "Yeah, we like the name Nick."
I nicked my finger on the corner of the cabinet, and
there was this beautiful, like every day it was beautiful. Things were going well for Cheryl and I. And then we found out we were having twins. We're like, this is so cool. Let's remember this forever. Autumn. Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. And me, you know, Nick's along for the ride. And a guy who's never along for the ride, he brings it every time he's on the show from our brother show, Earn and Invest. Doc G, Jordan Grummett's here. How are you, man?
I'm doing well, man. All this talk about going in reverse, I'm remembering my days of driving stick shift. Like I used to have a stick car and I really enjoyed it. And it's been years.
But would you, like I had to drive a stick shift in Europe for the first time in a long time. And on this particular car, this Renault that we were renting, I could not find reverse to save my life. Like I kept putting it in first gear and it was bad.
And maybe that is apropos of our conversation today about reverse fire.
Maybe that is. We are live on YouTube. If you want to hang out with us, like all the cool people hanging out with us right now, come join the conversation. We generally record on Monday afternoons. If you get the 201, we send you an email that tells you when we are going to be recording. And we've got a few people hanging out here with us. B. Wayne is here. Rylan Fellner is here. Kay Sands is here. Annette is here with us. And Annette says her friend just found out she's having twins. That's what happened to my hair, Annette. It's long gone because of the twins, but I'm very happy. Jordan, you didn't have twins, but
I didn't have twins, but my daughter for sure. My second kid, that's when all the hair disappeared.
Well, here's what we're going to talk about is making sure your money doesn't disappear, but also your life. You know, some people retire on time from jobs that they think that they love, and then they miss it later, right? People say, this is research according to retirement researcher Ken Dykewald, that the average person spends 18 months in total bliss when they first retire. And then after 18 months, many people have the deepest depression of their entire life after that. Do you avoid that by just continuing to work? Is reverse fire a thing? Is that there's a lot of reasons why you might continue. Well, the New York Times talked about this. So we're going to dive in with them and with Paula, OG, Doc G, and Doug. But before that, we've got a couple of sponsors who make sure we can keep on keeping on. We're going to hear from them. And then let's talk about retirement in reverse. Is it better to just keep on working? You may not know that when we started Stacking Benjamins, it was a blog. And even then, just the startup cost, I remember thinking, is this the right thing? And what if I write things and nobody comes, right? Well, luckily, that didn't end up happening. But starting something new isn't just hard. It's terrifying. There's so much work. You're not sure whether it's going to work out. You're not sure if anybody's going to read it. And then we change it to a podcast. Is anybody actually going to listen, right? What if nobody wants all the stuff that we have? Well, had I used Shopify, it would have been even easier because with their expertise, their helpful tools, and their easy to use platform, that's something that would have made Stacking Benjamins more effective much, much more quickly. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. Names you've heard of like Heinz and Mattel, Shopify, Gymshark, Aviator Nation, Allbirds, also all Shopify. Get started with your own design studio with hundreds of ready-use templates. Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store that matches your brand style. And best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond. And did I mention that iconic purple Shop Pay button? It's used by millions of businesses around the world. It's why Shopify has the best converting checkout on the planet. It also helps boost conversions, meaning less carts going abandoned and more sales for you. So you're stacking Benjamins much more quickly. Time to turn those what ifs into with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/SB. Go to shopify.com/SB. That's shopify.com/SB.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Well, thanks to OG during that break, sharing with me that I got the publication wrong. This is from the Wall Street Journal, OG. I tried to tell you that over and over.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
Apologies.
And I should have known because it's written by two fantastic authors, Ann Turgison and Veronica Dagger, who we quote here a lot on the show. And the piece that we're riffing on was called What It's Like to Retire in America After Age 75, which frankly is what led me to believe about this idea of reverse fire. Anne and Veronica write, lifespans are getting longer, so are many workers' careers. Almost 9% of Americans 75 and older, 9%, working or looking for work last year, up from 6% 2 decades earlier, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And the share between 65 and 74, well, that rose to 27% of people in 2024 versus 22% back in 2004. The government estimates these percentages will rise more along with the aging population. So this got me thinking, in your financial plan, what if we decided just in our plan that we wanted to work longer? I mean, Paula, people talk about the benefits of retire early, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are the positive reasons to just say, forget it, I'm not retiring?
But the studies, research shows that autonomy, mastery, and purpose, if you have those three qualities in your work, you are likely to enjoy your work. You have a sense of purpose by definition, because that's one of the three. You have autonomy, and you have the ability to develop mastery in the thing that you're doing. If you have that in the work that you're doing, there's no particular reason to leave. And I certainly understand that for many people, it isn't the type of work they're doing, but rather the volume of work they're doing. It's working 60 hours a week or even 40 hours a week, as opposed to maybe 20 or 10 or heck, even 5. But perhaps there comes a time when you cut down on that volume so you can make space for other things in your life, but you hang on to the work itself because it provides you with mastery, autonomy, and purpose.
One of those things, Doc, I know this guy who wrote a book a little bit about purpose. I mean, you see, for some of these people, in fact, Veronica and Anne write this at the beginning, that maybe your work feels like it's your purpose, like it's your reason you're here. Why quit?
I think a lot of us who got caught up in the FIRE movement, especially early on, financial independence, retire early, it was the solution to a problem. And the problem was we didn't like our jobs and we felt a lack of some of that autonomy, mastery, and purpose. And the answer was to accrue enough money so that it could be invested wisely and it could support you. What we're realizing is that maybe financial independence isn't necessarily the goal. It's just a really good tool. And so if you can find things you love doing, find things that feel purposeful, and they happen to pay you money, there's no hard and fast rule that says you have to retire by a certain age or that you even have to get financially independent by a certain age. So it might be very reasonable for you to make the decision, make the trade-off that I'm going to work a little bit less, or I'm going to move to a job that feels purposeful and slow down my path to financial independence. But then maybe I'll continue working until I'm 75 or 80, especially if I can afford to do it less hours because I'm going to extend my work longevity. And so I think we're really changing how we think about these things. The goal is to live a great life. That may have to do with doing jobs in which you make money, or it may have to do with doing jobs in which you don't make money. But that's the goal, not necessarily hitting some financial independence number.
That is interesting that the financial independence number might be the piece that you're not worried about. It's much more about what you do with your life. And yet, OG, I think if you can put together a plan where there's an income stream coming in for a longer period of time, the financial benefits and your ability to maybe build intergenerational wealth becomes so much easier.
Well, when you think about this self-imposed retirement date, whether it's 55, 60, 65, whatever. And I understand completely that there's plenty of places that it's not self-imposed, it's contractual. If you work for the government or you work in law enforcement, they have certain retirement dates, but they come with different benefits too, generally speaking. Or if you're, an airline pilot, you have a certain, I'll say expiration date. That's not the right phrase, but you have a certain date that you can no longer fly commercial jets. But for the rest of us, assuming that you have some flexibility in that, just by having another 5 years of savings opportunity and 5 fewer years of drawing from your investment portfolio means that goal becomes so much easier to attain. Jordan talked about it for just a second ago. He said the whole idea is to have a good life, and having a bunch of money when you're 50 could be a good life, or it could mean that from 30 to 50, you didn't do anything. And, life sucks really bad. So it's a balance between those things. I've very much, it's somewhat a little tongue in cheek, but I still think there's a chance I could pull it off. I have said that my end date is 140. And the reason that I pick 140 is because I want to see my kids turn 100. I just think that would be super cool. And then also like have another year with them after that. But it also, honestly, like when you think about it in those timeframes, you go, well, it's okay that I'm just saving 10% in my 401k. I mean, my God, I'm only going to be 48. I've got 90 years to go. I have all this time to get there. And we all know people that have worked well into their 70s and 80s. And my grandfather worked until he was in his 90s. I mean, he wasn't laying brick in the hot sun work, that's different too. So I think if you look at it purely from a number standpoint, if you eliminate that self-imposed, well, I got to retire when I'm 60 or I want to retire when I'm 65. If you just change that number to 70, now you have that much less that you have to save every year, which frees up life today. And you have that fewer dollars going out for those 5 years from 65 to 70. So now you don't need as much in your bucket when you get to 70 to begin with. So it's kind of a double-edged good sword. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say that. A double win. There we go.
Double win. Yeah.
A double-edged win. I don't know.
And I also think, I kind of tongue in cheek thought about this idea of reverse fire, right? I'm not going to leave at all. And, but I think even fire advocates really,
no, Joe, we do want you to leave someday. please do not get the wrong idea here.
Really, it's okay.
It's okay.
In fact, Joe, at the end of this episode, we'd like to have a talk with you, and an HR person's going to come. But financial, over the past decade, fire movement advocates, I've kind of felt the movement change, where instead of financial independence, retire early, really most of the heat is on financial independence, right? Get the financial independence earlier. And if we talk about reverse fire, OG, I feel like it's the other side, where instead of the RE, it's like financial independence whenever the hell you want, but remain engaged, maybe change those two letters up.
Well, I don't know. I have no desire to work when I'm 85, although I don't know. To Paula's point, maybe I just need to find something that I find really super inspiring. But by the same token, as long as you have the flexibility or designing your life as best as you can to do the stuff that you want to do and eliminate the things you don't want to do, it's really about just kind of the whole system. You know what I mean? It's like, if I'm not missing out on kids' games, right? Some people say, well, I want to be done with this nonsense so I can go to my kid's softball game. Okay, well, that's aspirational. You should work toward that. But if you already do all those things and you go on the trips that you want to go on and you support the people and places and things that you care about, and you are doing things for other people and you're, stretching your brain and you're being able to, and all these things are great. Like what else do you want to do? like you want to take away those things and now we'll just sit on the couch for the next 20 years? The whole idea is to do all the stuff that you want to do. So if you're doing all the stuff that you want to do, and one of those things is, and I'm also going to work, then I think that's perfectly fine.
The key there, I think, is do, right? There's all these things I want to do. Well, do. Don't just sit. Paula, there's a bunch of case studies in this piece, and obviously our stackers don't have it in front of them, but are there any of these stories that really light you up?
Well, there was one that made me laugh, and it was a story of a photographer who technically is still working, but he works 2 hours a week.
Oh, hey-o. Easy
and
there.
When I read that, I was like, can he even be included in this article? Like, can you really say that you're still working when you work 2 hours a week? But I don't know, maybe you can, So that was sort of what I was alluding to earlier when I talked about how if you enjoy your work, maybe you're reducing from 40 hours down to 20 or 10 or 5, or in this guy's case, 2, right?
But that's interesting though, Paula, because so he's a photographer. He has the ability to still see beauty and snap those shots. Like 2 hours a week, is that enough for remain engaged?
The first thought that entered my mind is if you're trying to get clients who will pay you, I mean, even if you were just doing the most passive inbound, I've got a website up and I'm only going to respond to inquiries, I'm not going to actively solicit, it still seems like it would come in waves. Like I would imagine that there would probably be a few weeks of 0 followed by a few weeks of
4.
Yeah.
Well, it's wedding season or it's not, right? That's kind of what you're saying, Paula. It's like, it's senior picture time or it's Mother's Day. It's those sorts of things. If you're a photographer, right? It's holiday cards. Nobody sends out really Halloween cards.
Shane laying down some smack, OG, in the in mom's basement says 2 hours a week, you must be a podcaster in his mom's basement.
That's what I said earlier when we were off camera.
I work at 2 hours a week.
The amount of time Joe works every week.
Crazy. You need to get me up from my nap just for this. Doc, you've studied purpose a good amount. 2 hours a week, enough time to chase his purpose if it's photography's attached?
Yeah, I mean, there are no rules when it comes to purpose, right? You just got to enjoy doing what you're doing. So for some people, that could be doing photography for 2 hours, where for someone else, that might be doing it 40 hours a week. I think we make way too many rules. And maybe this goes for the whole concept of reverse fire too. I think we love to have rules about how other people should live their lives and what should be work or not work for them. But the truth of the matter is, what do you want to do with your life? And we have a limited amount of time on this earth. And we also have a financial framework which we have to build and support. And so we get to juggle those things. Like, how much money do I need versus how much time freedom do I want? And there are some people who are lucky enough that find something that they both like doing, even when they don't have to do it anymore, that also makes them some money. And so I think if you're one of these people who's either found that perfect solution, go for it, or you're someone who says, well, I don't mind work that much, and it helps me economically to still make money. I can take that extra first class flight, or I stopped 10 years ago working full time and I only worked part time, but I can do that because I'm going to continue working for the next 5 years. Whatever the trade-off is, I think the hard and fast rules, whether it comes to purpose or whether it comes to work, we don't need them.
I totally agree, which is why I was thinking, Doc, while you're talking about this question, is there value in then, because I'm thinking of somebody who's walking the dog listening to us right now, and they're going, there's no way in hell I would do what I'm doing right now forever. Like, forget this does not resonate with me. This is a horrible idea.
You've been reading my diary again.
And a lot of the people, and there's a lot of people out there who like their job, but certainly there's an end date where they're like, cool. But is this an idea that resonates enough where, talk about breaking the rules, you go, you know what? I'm going to stop doing the thing that I'm doing now, and I'm going to start doing something else at age 65. I mean, I got 25 years to get good. If I go from 65 to 90, I got 25 years for a whole another career if I want. Paula, you're nodding your head.
Yeah. I actually have in my head a backup plan for, if I decide that I'm done with all of this, I do have in my head what my retirement career would be. And it's running an animal shelter. I've always thought that it would be, in a different life, I probably would have been a veterinarian. And so since I'm not, I always thought, you know what, maybe I'll do this until I'm 70. And then when I'm 70, I'll start a second career and I'll use my money to create an endowment that funds a small animal shelter. And I'll open that animal shelter.
Yeah, I don't think this is an academic conversation. I mean, in a sense, in 2018, I started my encore career, right? So podcasting, writing, public speaking are all things I started doing once I didn't need to make money anymore, once I was financially independent. So, I mean, if I did that in my late 40s, I can't imagine why you wouldn't also do that in your 50s, 60s, or 70s, especially when you get to the point financially where you're secure enough. You're like, well, maybe I want to make some income to support me economically, but I don't need to make nearly what I was making in the midst of that career that I built all those years, becoming proficient at and building up my salary. Maybe now you can make a quarter of that, but try something new and do something you love.
I think about this idea. OG, have you read Strength to Strength, Arthur Brooks? No?
Yeah, maybe.
That's a no.
Haven't gotten to that one yet. Doc, have you read it?
I haven't read it. I'm familiar with a lot of the concepts, but I haven't read it.
Yeah, Paula?
No, I read Arthur Brooks's book on happiness, and I interviewed him about fluid intelligence versus crystallized intelligence. I don't know if that was what he wrote about in Strength to
Scoreboard.
I interviewed him over there.
And then I went on vacation with him. But...
Arthur, in this book, Strength to Strength, talks about how there are some jobs which are better when you're young, and then you hang on because of the way that your brain works. And then as you get older, there are jobs where age is the win. In fact, the first piece that Anne and Veronica talk about is this guy, Merle Manley, and he's a psychiatrist, and he retired at age 76 but he still thinks he's going to continue to work because he sees in this job, age is a strength. Being 76 years old, he could tell people based on life experience, Paula, what he's thinking.
Yeah. And that kind of pairs perfectly with what Arthur Brooks has talked about with fluid intelligence versus crystallized intelligence. His thesis is essentially that when you're young, mental activities that require like just sheer computational horsepower, doing really, really difficult mathematical problem sets, those are the types of things that you're really good at when you're 28. Whereas when you're older, you can synthesize between this wide interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary array. And that synthesis is often thought of as wisdom. And so anything that requires wisdom, which includes teaching, is something that really naturally fits with the older brain.
You got to think, though, if you're going out looking, we're going to talk about the negatives of this idea of reverse fire in a second. But I also have to think that going to try to find a new job at 65 or 70, there's enough ageism emoji in the workplace that people might look at you strangely and go, I think you'd probably have to be prepared for that. People going, yeah, you're how old? 82?
I think it's, I'm going to interject here, Joe. I'm a little concerned that you asked the guy who repeatedly makes fun of how old you and I are about ageism.
Well, that's because the lawsuit's
the biggest
pending.
perpetrator of ageism. Let's ask him.
The lawsuit is pending, Doug, so I'm trying to get him on tape so we can.
When I was talking to Gertrude today about something, she asked me for my birthday because we needed it for some paperwork. And I told her, and she goes, "Oh, you're such a baby." And I said, "I know. That's what I keep telling these guys." What was that movie with, Anne Hathaway and Robert De Niro?
Oh, that's a great film.
Where
Fantastic film. He's a new assistant.
The senior citizen, like going back to be an assistant. A good flick, kind of a feel good story there. But I think, like what Paula was talking about, or Joe, what you were saying there around, there's different periods of your life where, you need like the brute force strength, right? You got to be able to power through stuff. And then there's the period of time where your collective or total experience is really the valuable thing, the life story. It's like the physician or the surgeon who's had 10,000 surgeries of the same thing versus the person that had one or two. Like the new doc has got tons of energy and can stand on his feet for 20 hours and do the surgery, but he's only seen one thing, and the some curveball gets thrown at him or her. It's like, this is a different, I don't know what to do with it. The doc that's done 10,000 of them goes, I remember this back in 2007. I had to do this with a pair of scissors. We don't even have robots back then, or whatever. So
with a pair of scissors,
like there I was minding my own business at the airport.
And I did this with a spatula,
and they were rusty too.
Yeah, they were rusty pair of scissors. They all died of dysentery. But you're probably not going to be the bricklayer at 82, but you might be able to be the designer of the landscape plan at 82 because you have all the experience. I certainly can't speak to the ageism thing. I know it happens, and I don't have a solution around it either because human nature is human nature, right?
Yeah. I just think you got to be ready for that if you decide to take this on. Carrie got us the name of the movie. It's a 2015 film called The Intern.
Oh, The Intern, of course. Yep. Yeah.
Very, very good movie. Paula, you look like you're trying to say something.
Oh, no. I was still thinking about that rusty pair of scissors and just how far we could take that.
Well,
covered in fecal matter.
Time to pivot, Doug. Away from that. Wow. Too soon? Maybe always too soon. At the halfway point of every show, and by the way, before we get to that, the second half of this, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about unintended consequences, the downsides of planning on reverse fire. If you think that this sounds great for you, we will jump into all of that. But at the halfway point of every Friday show, we have this year-long trivia competition between our usual suspects, which are Paula, OG, and Jesse Kramer. Our resident fill-in, Doc G, here today. You're playing on Team Jesse, which I know you've been way, way, way far away in Bali, so you haven't listened to any of the show for a while. Guess what happened? Jesse Kramer is in the lead, Doc.
Yeah, I must be hallucinating still from some parasite I got while I was in Bali.
It's a rusty scissors.
Yeah, I don't quite believe that. I don't think I heard what I just heard.
Yeah, Doug, what's the score right now? Is we only have maybe a good 10 weeks to go?
Does this mean I have to go first? I always have to go first.
It does mean you have to go first.
Somehow I always have to go first.
Yeah. It comes down to you going first because you have hitched your wagon to Jesse's rising star. He is leading the pack with 12.5 points. OG did close the gap last week, and he is up to 12 points, just a half point shy of you. And Paula, well, she did not close the gap. She is still at 8.5 points.
Wait a minute, 9.5, 10.5, 11. Doug, if she wins like almost half of the things coming, she's got this.
Hey, Paula, don't let them make fun of you. Paula, don't let them make fun of you. If I was a regular, I'd be like 2.
Oh, wait, I thought these were golf rules where the lowest score wins.
Wait, what? After all these years.
Isn't this match play?
Yeah. Well, that's the story. We need the actual story for this week, which is, Doug, what's happening on today's date in history?
Hey there, Stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and on today's date in history, the Navy, the United States Navy, introduced a white shirt to go under your uniform. These crew neck white shirts were called T-shirts, and soon it became common to see soldiers and then later field workers and factory employees sporting them at work and in everyday weekend life, maybe with a tight-fitting pair of jeans and some work boots, muscles rippling beneath the shirts in the sun. I digress. But anyway, here's today's question. What year did the U.S. Navy debut the T-shirt? I'll be back right after I go change into mine. Now that I've planted that imagery in your head. This trivia talking, it's real work. And I got rippling muscles that need to glisten in the sun with a simple white T-shirt.
Can we go back to fecal-covered Rusty's talk?
No.
No. All right, Jordan, you are first up. Navy debuted the T-shirt in what year?
I'm going to take a leap, which I'm really good at doing, and say that it also probably didn't hurt. Maybe it was during kind of like the stock market
It
crash.
says the 1100s. I'm just going to lose my mind.
And the depression and the stock market crash. And maybe they didn't have a lot of money and a T-shirt was less material, right? So I'm going to say 1932.
1932. Yeah, it turns out, OG, the real date is year of our Lord 867, the U.S. Navy. AD. BC.
AD.
Let's see, it was right after the Magna Carta.
Right. That's when OG knows that we might have come up with an alternate answer.
Oh, so I'm up. So I'm picturing all those old time, World War II photos of all the service members, in their dress uniforms or in their working uniforms when they're on the ship or whatever. And I'm picturing no T-shirts in World War II. So I think Doc G's a little early to the ball game here. I'm going to say right around World War II ending. And let's go, because it was, before. Okay, so I'm going to say 1947.
47. So we've got 1932.
And happy birthday to the U.S. Navy. Their birthday was just a week ago.
Mm-hmm. Paula, you've got 32 from Doc G and 47 from OG.
Oof. So I'm thinking about the television show The Gilded Age. There was definitely nobody wearing a T-shirt on that.
That you could see.
And if you're new to Stacking Benjamins, so many things that our contestants have said during trivia doesn't help.
Then I'm thinking about watching Star Wars and nobody in the future was wearing a T-shirt either. And that doesn't help.
I'm feeling early 1900s, so I'm going to take the under and go with 1931.
1931. Oh, poor Doc G got cut off at the knees, but Doc still got halfway between 32 and 47. So not done yet. We'll see. Is it before 1931, between 32 and 47, or after 1947? Find out in just a moment.
What would you do if your online store converted 36% more shoppers? You could take 36% more vacation.
Another pina colada? Yes, please.
Open a new retail location with 36% more square feet.
Fantastic.
Hire 36% more help.
You're hired and you're hired.
Shopify has the world's best converting checkout, up to 36% better than other e-commerce platforms. What you do with those extra sales is up to you. Switch to Shopify today at shopify.com/listen and get a $1 trial. Shopify.com/listen.
Did you know Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery with thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers? Whether you're planting fruit trees, adding privacy, brightening things up with flowers, or bringing in houseplants, Fast Growing Trees has it all. Even better, they can help you find options that are right for your climate, your space, and lifestyle. Click Order Grow. Every plant arrives healthy with the Alive and Thrive guarantee straight to your door. So if you're ready to get planting, this is the moment. Right now, they have great deals on spring planting essentials, up to half off on select plants. And listeners to our show get 20% off their first purchase when using the code WWO at checkout. That's an additional 20% off. Better plants and better growing at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code WWO at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code WWO. Now's the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use WWO to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. Go to growingfasttrees.com for details.
Unlike other AI, Slackbot lives in Slack. It understands you, your team, and your work, so you can ask it for help with anything.
Can I ask it to summarize client feedback?
Yes.
Can I ask it to find time for a meeting?
Absolutely.
Can I ask it to turn our meeting notes into a launch plan?
Sure.
Can I ask it to call me the boss?
Actually, you can.
The balls.
See how Slackbot can turn you into
the balls
at slack.com/meet-slackbot.
Doc, you started off the guessing by saying 1932. Now that all the guesses are in, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking I can't be last because Paula was kind enough to write Go Below Me. So I'm feeling pretty good about the fact that I won't be last.
You're not even playing for first. You're playing for second.
Hey, it's what I like to call reverse trivia. It's called reverse trivia.
Well done,
Instead
sir.
Instead of going for first, I go not to be last.
I'm so proud, Ma. Guess what, Ma? I didn't suck the worst.
It's the baby steps. The baby steps.
Oh, gee, you've got everything north of 1947, so feeling good.
Yeah, I'm picturing, I certainly, you can picture the service members in Vietnam, right, wearing the drab green T-shirts,
sure,
doing the thing. Korea, to me, seems it was too chilly. They were just all wearing, like, winter clothes. I picture World War II vets with their... they got the shirt on has the big V and they don't have a T-shirt underneath that unless it's like a, like a sleeveless low cut T-shirt. It's not just a regular crew neck. So I feel pretty good.
I seem to think a lot about service members in their T-shirts, OG.
I do. Actually, absolutely. So think about our service members and men and women every day.
Okay.
Well, Paula...
And scissors.
And scissors. Paula, you apparently think those low-cut V-neck T-shirts were before 1931.
Well, I'm imagining Gold Rush. I'm imagining, I'm imagining turn of the century. I'm imagining that big earthquake in San Francisco. I don't know why I associate T-shirts with that, but feels like you might have worn a T-shirt for the occasion.
If there were ever a time, Doug, for people to have a T-shirt, it would have been during the San Francisco earthquake.
But definitely after the Gilded Age. Somewhere between the Gilded Age and the San Francisco earthquake, that's when people started rocking those white T-shirts.
Who's bringing this home, Doug?
I am Joe. Hey there, stackers. I'm T-shirt lover and guy who loves funny sayings, Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. Over the years, the simple white T-shirt has become a staple of everyday wear, eventually moving to many different colors and, after iron-ons, adding whatever ridiculous things you wanted to say printed right on your chest. There's an innovation for you. Here's an example. I remember this one super innovative podcast. They actually put their name of the podcast right on a T-shirt.
Whoa.
How funny is... Wait, do we do that? I don't know if we've done that, but how brilliant would that be? There's an innovation for you. Here's today's question. What year did the U.S. Navy, on today's date, debut the T-shirt? Well, here's what I can tell you. It was 34 years before OG's guess of 1947. It was 19 years before Doc G's guess of 1932. And
No
just
way.
18 years before Paula guessed of 1931, because the correct answer is 1913, making, inexplicably, Paula our winner.
Can anybody explain to me what just happened? What just happened?
Wow. I think, well, you know what? Watching TV pays off. I mentally anchored to the Gilded Age and then said, then said it would have been sometime after that.
Which is why you went before everybody else. This is what's going on with her brain when it comes to trivia, everybody. But congratulations.
Well, thank you. Closing the gap.
Yeah, and it's funny, OG, because I do remember T-shirts, but only in the Pacific Theater. I remember seeing people when it was really hot in the Asian Theater War, where
when you were there personally.
No, please, no, just watching not the Gilded Age, but the Pacific.
There I was watching Band of Brothers, thinking to myself, these guys are all wearing T-shirts.
They're all wearing. This will come in handy someday.
This is an important little piece of info.
Nice bright white T-shirts on the front line so they can blend in.
I don't think they were bright. Oh, you said the Navy ones were white, right?
They were white. Yeah, they started off as these white crew neck T-shirts going underneath the uniforms. Hey, let's dive into the second half of this discussion because we talked about the positives, and certainly there are some negatives, starting with the fact that, and I want to scroll up because someone said this in the comments, and I think it's a great place to start, which is from Rylan Felnar, hanging out with us, said, and Doc, we'll give this to you. Rylan, I'm going to present this one in a maybe more funny way. I saw this as a video one time, an older guy, Doc, saying, forget about more time with my family. What I regret on my deathbed is that we didn't hit enough KPIs in our marketing department. That's what I regret.
Well, you laugh, and I'm going to tell a story, and I'm going to use the person's real name. I actually told this story in my first book, Taking Stock, but he died long ago, and I know he would not mind. I had this great patient, Eddie, and Eddie came to see me, started seeing me, I think, in his late 70s. He died in his early 80s, and this guy loved trucks. In fact, he loved trucks so much, he started selling them. He bought and sold them. He had this little store literally right on the border of Wisconsin and Illinois. And as he got more and more sick and his business got worse and worse and worse, he kept going to work. He would sit in his chair. His assistant would bring him things and he would buy and sell and trade used trucks. I changed my practice actually to the point where I'd go see people in their homes. And I remember driving up to the border and there he'd be literally close to dying on hospice and still doing what he loved doing. This guy loved these huge trucks. He'd buy them and sell them used. And it was one of his greatest joys. And he died that way.
So
and
that's a positive.
Yeah. He died working and that he wouldn't have had it any other way.
But just generally, do you think that, if you're working because the marketing department needs you versus this idea of any type of purpose, I think you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, we tend to remember, especially on our deathbeds, when we talk about, the things that excited us and the things we regret, the biggest question tends to be, was I a good version of myself? Which means, did I connect with those people who were important in my life? Did I do those things that were deeply important to me? Was I that kind of person I wanted to be? And the truth of the matter is, usually that doesn't hinge on how many hours I showed up to work or whether I worked nights and weekends. It's much more about what was important to my sense of identity and purpose. And did I have the courage to pursue it?
There are those of us who are so selfless and we just like to be needed that gives us joy. That's why I'm here.
And Doug, your gifts to the podcast world are just so,
I know, right?
So great, but
it strikes me, OG, I can't stop thinking about, Jordan, the story that you told about the guy selling trucks. And it strikes me, OG, that your grandfather lived for a long, long time. And I think he worked late into his life as well and loved every minute of it, didn't he?
Yeah, Grandpa worked. He owned a printing business and he had a big sign on the door that said chairman of the board. It was, don't know that there were many other board members. Maybe grandma was on the board too, but I remember him working a lot, but I have a lot of memories of going to the shop and walking behind the cubicle where grandpa's office was. And a lot of times he would just be there sleeping, like with his feet up, like taking a nap, or he'd have a magazine of printing equipment or something like that, but it was a thing that he did. And I know he worked until his early 90s. He wasn't working 100 hours a week, but he wasn't working 2 either. And most of the stuff that he was doing at the time, I can only imagine, I wasn't involved in the business, had very little to do with the actual operation of printing. It was the customer relations stuff. It was the selling. It was the general positioning of the firm in the marketplace, because he was pretty well known in the community. So I think it was a lot less to do with the actual work and a lot more to do with legacy, maybe even at that point to some degree.
Marketing and relationships too, keeping those relationships.
I was going to say, he wasn't too concerned with the legacy aspect of it, at least to my knowledge, but more around just people would come in and they want to talk to Augie. They didn't care. Like, yeah, I know you guys are doing the work, but where's the boss? Let's talk to him.
Yeah, let's say hi. Right.
Let's say hi.
OG, sticking with you for a second, people that are fire advocates, not this idea of reverse fire, often say, the part we're concerned about is the FI, and the RE we're not worried about. I think that in this case, it almost has to be the same. If your goal is to work forever, you still need to figure out the FI before 87 or 90 or whatever.
The contingency plan, right?
140.
Somebody may not want you to be reverse firing. Somebody may want to have you fire, at 65 like you're supposed to, because there's other mouths to feed and so on and so forth. I think the biggest downside of all of this, thinking about extending it forever, is the opportunity that you have to be lazy about saving and investing. And that's what I said before about my 140-year time horizon. You go, well, hell, I got 90 years to get there. I could save $1 a month and still be fine. But that kind of sends the wrong message too, right? It's like a little bit too much like, I'll wait for tomorrow. What was the hamburger thing from Popeye, right? I'd gladly pay you for 2 cheeseburgers tomorrow for 1 cheeseburger today. It's like it rewards that behavior a little too much for my liking. And just like when you're about to go on vacation and you work really hard right before you're going to go on vacation, you get all that work done. You have that big to-do list, the big pile of stuff on your desk. And then, that 2 weeks before vacation, you just like slay everything. And, you're the most productive you are in your entire life. Those 10 days
incredible
before you go on vacation. If you give yourself a tight time frame on financial goals, you're more likely to be aggressive with them. And even if you don't exactly hit it, you're going to still be in the ballpark of it. It's one thing to be on one side of the equation and say, hey, when you're 20 years old, if you just save $500 a month in a Roth, look, you're going to be totally fine for the rest of your life. You have millions of dollars, will be all tax-free. Life is going to be fantastic. But if you're 40, I don't want you to, it's 2 sides of this, right? One side is saying like, oh my gosh, I'm behind. I need to, I'm never going to make it. Why try? Like that's the defeatist side. But the other side is going, hey, I really need to put some pressure on myself here. I need to get after it. I need to really pay attention to what I'm spending my money on so that I have extra. I need to ask my boss for a pay raise or additional responsibility or work really hard to get that bonus because I need to start saving some friggin' money. I need to get this stuff to start compounding because I don't have the opportunity, or I shouldn't be planning on working till I'm 90 because frankly, not all work is great. I think for a lot of people, work kind of sucks.
Well, and even if you try to find good work, like we talked about before the break, if you try to find work that you like and you can't,
maybe you can't find it,
or it takes you 5 years or 10 years to figure it out.
I don't want you to use I'm going to work until I'm 80 because I love what I do as an opportunity to be lazy with savings.
I don't have to save. Yeah.
Do both of those things so that you can have such a big, it's like the 15-year mortgage or 30-year mortgage. People go back and forth on that. When it was COVID and interest rates were really low, they're like, oh, you should take the 30-year because it's 22% interest. It's like super low and you can borrow money forever. It's like, no, do the 15-year mortgage and the 2% rate. So you get that friggin' thing paid for as soon as humanly possible. And the bank gets almost nothing out of you. Like I think our interest payment on our mortgage right now is like $200 or something. It's all principal. The bank doesn't get anything out of us. They send us stuff every week going, hey, you should refinance your mortgage. Look at all that equity you have. You probably want that to build a new barn or something, right? It's like, do both. Use the opportunity to be aggressive for savings and also work a little bit longer if you like what you're doing. And now you've really compounded your family's wealth and your family's ability to move things forward.
Paula, OG's talking about this unintended consequence. You decide to live forever, so then you don't save any money, and then surprise, surprise. Any other unintended consequences of this reverse fire that you can think of?
I think that what OG has described is probably the biggest concern, inadequately saving because you assume you'll work forever. But I would say if a secondary level concern would be not adequately exploring interests, hobbies, passions, curiosities outside of whatever would conventionally be thought of as work.
Oh, that's a great one.
It might be that if your brain is just so attuned to being productive, maybe it's not the same job that you do, but if your brain is attuned to sitting on committees and being in meetings and sending emails, right? You might just find different ways of doing that for different organizations, maybe even in different industries, but you're still fundamentally on Zoom and, sitting on Zoom meetings and sending emails.
Yeah.
As opposed to painting or taking improv classes or learning how to rollerblade.
No, that is interesting because Jordan, OG talked about it could be an excuse financially. Well, I don't feel like saving, but it could also be fear of the unknown. If I stop doing it isn't so much that I love this, that I'm afraid of what the hell would I replace it with. It's like stepping off into the abyss.
Yeah, I mean, whenever we decide to do something different, we have to step into the unknown. And so it's always easy to keep doing what you're doing. It's always going to be easier, at least emotionally, than to shake it up, do something different, and then get a different outcome. I think we have to be very careful because one of the things that I think people really miss is they're like, well, I kind of like my job and I don't want to rush it. And maybe it is an excuse not to save as much. But 5 years down the road, like all your friends have retired, they're all going out to eat every day and then they're going to play golf and you're stuck still going to the 9 to 5 because you thought you liked it. So you were going to extend it. And so I guess that's the biggest issue is you just don't have as much flexibility, right? If you really become very dependent on your finances, on continuing that job, even if you think, boy, I'm going to love that job, things change in 5 years and you might be a very different person and you might have very different interests.
Yeah. Yeah. Boss changes, business gets sold, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Shane says the devil you know. Chris says I'll lose my identity if I change. Masley brings up something really, really neat, Doc. Not neat, but I guess another point of this, which is, I don't know if guilt is the right word, but if I'm sitting here filling a desk in my 80s and I enjoy what I do, but I know I'm not as productive as I used to be, how much should I be worried about the fact that maybe I'm not as productive for my employer as everybody else is around me, even if they're letting me stay there? Is there a philosophical issue there?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really hard one to figure out, right? Because there's so many different details. Are you taking up the space someone else could be growing and learning in? Someone who's maybe more appropriate or who has more of a career path or trajectory than you?
Yeah, that was specifically what Masley said, was perhaps not giving a new employee a chance.
Yeah, and it's so hard to know that because it's so dependent. But I would guess a lot of these people we're talking about, like the psychiatrist who maybe will go back and do a few years more of seeing patients, I would guess that in most situations, that's not the case, right? In most situations, the employer will tell you, look, it's not working here anymore, et cetera. In most of the situations, if there's a young buck who should be moving into your place, most workplaces will eventually start that transition. But yes, I mean, all of that's possible. And I think that's some of that nuance and all the good reason, again, to get back to let's have our finances in order so that we can actually look at that nuance and make decisions.
I don't know, Paula, how interested are you in this idea of career forever?
I love it. I honestly really love it. It appeals to me because, we joked earlier about nobody's on their deathbed regretting that they didn't hit certain KPIs.
Marketing KPIs.
But I do think, I'll speak for myself, I have a deep curiosity about how big I can grow something into, And so when I think about what I'm doing now, what I find highly motivating is seeing how many people I can reach. It's two levels. How many people can I reach and how big of an impact can I make in their life? And over the span of 20 years or 30 years or 40 years, that can kind of grow into a relatively small number or a very, very big number. And I think if it doesn't grow into a very, very big number with a big impact, there can be that sense of regret. Like if I feel like I didn't really try, if I feel like it was lack of effort on my part. And so anyway, where all of this is going is what I like about the working forever or for as long as it holds your interest is that you still have a goal that you are trying to attain. And there can be a lot of joy and a lot of purpose in reaching for that goal.
I hear everything you're saying, and I wonder if, though, still being a well-rounded person with other things outside of that pursuit is still important.
Yeah, I think that's why scaling from 40 hours down to 20, at a certain
Or
point in
2.
your life. Yeah. I don't know what you can really get done in 2 hours a week. But, I could certainly see a time where you scale to 20 hours a week, because that feels very well balanced. You could work 20 hours a week and have a very balanced life outside of that.
I know, speaking with Clark Howard about this, our mutual friend, Clark was talking about how just the older he gets, the more he wants to do the things that he loves, but he doesn't want to do the things he doesn't love anymore. He just likes giving that away and giving that to somebody who might be able to do it better. But that core thing, being on the microphone, Clark Howard being Clark Howard, there's probably nobody in his organization who can beat him at that.
Yeah.
Oh, gee, what's interesting is, as I'm listening to Paula being friends with you, that's not your path. What are you looking at as you go forward and think about retirement or non-retirement?
God, like putting me on blast right now. It's like, when are you going to be done?
Yes. Is this coming soon?
Yeah. I mean, I'm one Powerball winning away from changing my phone number. Like, we're sorry. The number you've called is no longer in service.
I'm much less worried about you and financial independence. I'm much more worried about you and remaining active, doing your thing.
Right. I think, like Paula was saying, it's more about like eliminating the things that you don't find fascinating and motivating. And really, that's the big challenge, I think, for a lot of entrepreneurs, is to continue to find things that are exciting to do. Because, when you've done something for a long time, we've done the podcast for 15 or 16 years, we have to keep on like finding energy to do it, right? It's not as, it's still exciting, but it's not like new exciting, right? We have to find new things to find us excited to talk about, because we've talked about Roth conversions 700 times.
I don't know though, man. Sometimes the old stuff, by the response we got recently about your reaction to the gold discussion, sometimes the old stuff still slaps. It's still
because gold is stupid. So that's pretty easy to talk
Take
about.
That, Frank.
But yeah. So I think that for me personally, what the challenge is going to be is to continue to find the things that are fascinating, motivating to do, and continue to find other people to support me doing that. And the things that I don't find exciting anymore, finding people that can support still doing that. And that's really the biggest thing. What I do say to people because people ask this question honestly, especially, our clients, they'll say, hey,
sure,
if you've been drinking your own Kool-Aid for a little while, maybe you've got a few bucks saved. So what are you thinking? And the thing that I tell everybody is, well, I have a 4th grader. So it's not like I'm jetting off to Paris, like, hey, discounted tickets to the UK right now. It's like, I have a 4th grader. So like, we're still doing that for the foreseeable future.
But that doesn't mean you have to keep doing what you're doing. You could do something else.
Well, 100%. What does the next 10 years look like? I can't do a good job of pinning it down, but I can tell you what the next 10 years doesn't look like. And I think that's the better way of looking at it. It's like, I'm still not doing the dishes or rinsing out my bowl despite my wife's incessant pleas.
I think this is interesting, and I want to head something off at the past. Sun Tzu, The Art of War, the best battle's the one that's never fought. Both you said, as an entrepreneur, Paula, you talked about something that's very entrepreneurial. I don't think anything either one of you said is specifically about entrepreneurs.
Oh, true.
So for people going, oh, those don't apply to me. Sure they do. Paula's on this infinite game of, in this infinite game, it's how fast can I run? How far can I get? How fast can I run, Paula? Sorry, Paula, in a running analogy, that was bad.
See, not very fast.
Yes. How far can I walk? What can I do? But how far can I chase this thing?
Mm-hmm.
And you're passionate enough about it. And you could do that if you work for somebody else, if you work for yourself, and finding that thing, I think, is fantastic, where you show up every day and you're engaged. And same thing, like eliminating the stuff that you don't like from your life and deciding what it is. If you can work with your boss on that and moving into different roles, so that suit you and where you can really help the company better.
The reality is you don't get what you don't ask for. And when you can clearly identify or articulate exactly what it is that you want or don't want to do, especially if you're looking at like, I'll take it away from the entrepreneur side and looking at it as let's say a manager and a new employee, it's like, here's what I like doing. I like training new employees. I will dedicate all my time to training new employees, all 20 hours a week of doing that. So can you create a job for me?
Both hours a week.
Yeah, both hours. Like, I don't want to do these. I don't want to be the worker bee anymore. Like, I've maxed out in my interest level of doing that, but I find a lot of passion in doing this. And I will spend all the time and energy necessary to make sure that these, young people that we're recruiting can drink the culture, get really smart, transfer all this knowledge, and I can do that in 20 hours a week. Can you create this role for me? Because I really want to keep doing this. And you'll be surprised. I mean, there's going to be times where they say, no, that just isn't a thing that we have. But if you're a valuable employee, there's plenty of opportunity to do that. And there's so many stories. We all know anecdotally the stories of people who like leave their job and then come back as a consultant because they're like, actually, we screwed up by letting you retire. So can you come back? And then you're like, yeah, but at $20,000 a month for 20 hours a week, sure.
And I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah. I'm going to come in and we're talking about these two projects Monday from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. And yeah, I don't do 8 o'clock meetings and I don't stay to past martini hour.
Jordan, you've already started to make this transition.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much have. The wonderful thing about financial independence, the best argument you can make for not doing reverse fire and just doing it right away is I pretty much do what I want every day, all day. My life is full of pursuing things I really, really enjoy, and I do very few things I don't want to do. And I hopefully, fingers crossed, will have, 30 more years of doing that.
And again, this isn't being an entrepreneur. I mean, you were a physician with a patient load and had to decide to make the change.
Yeah. I mean, I think financial independence levels the board. You can be an entrepreneur, you can be an employee, you can be this, you can be that, you can be a side hustler. It doesn't matter. Financial independence levels the playing field. The difference is this. I probably waited till I was, 45, 50 and worked really, really, really hard doing things I didn't like to do for a long time to get there so that I could be here now. Now, if you're more interested in something like reverse fire, you're going to start doing more of what you want now and sacrificing a little bit of the economic headwinds.
Yeah.
But both of them are fine. You just have to decide what fits you.
I love this idea. As more people work longer, still designing it, staying on top of it, not using it as an excuse to live less, but to actually live more. I think it's a great place to leave it, everybody. I'll link to this piece again, Ann Turgeson and Veronica Dagger, two people whose work we've appreciated for so long. And again, another stellar piece out of the Wall Street Journal. Let's talk about what's going on where you are. We'll start with you, Doc. Just back from Bali. What's going on at Earn and Invest?
We are talking to Sean Mullaney this week about his book, and we're talking about taxes. He wrote a fantastic book, and it takes our tax code, takes everything that's happened over the last bunch of years with legislation and just makes it more clear. So it's a wonderful book. It's a great conversation.
He's a fun guy to talk to. And he was on a roundtable a couple of weeks ago. Sean and Cody, by the way, I just saw just as we record this morning on LinkedIn, Cody reported, this is what's going on in the age of AI. There are now 4 books that have the same title and are called A Workbook 2 and just all AI written.
That's been going on for a long time. Yeah. Yeah. Back in 2022, when my book came out, when a bunch of people skipped, it's the same thing. It's a pain.
Maybe that's a testament to my work that didn't happen with Stacked. I don't know. I can't copy this. There's way too much going on there.
It was too original.
Way too original.
All the cute drawings.
Oh, gee, what's going on with you this fine October weekend?
Oh, great weekend. Mom's in town. Got a little high school football tonight. The penultimate regular season game that we're headed down to Waco for. It's going to be a tough matchup. And then the wife and I start a little bit of a trip starting tomorrow. Go to Arkansas.
Sweet.
We got a little after school activity in Arkansas tomorrow. And then on to the House of Mouse. So if any of you caught my could I say, was it viral? Can I say viral?
188,000 people have watched it so far.
Viral talk tick about Disney. I am going to go to blow a bunch of money at Disney with our team on our annual team retreat. So we picked Disney this year. We're going to have some fun going to the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party.
Oh, that's going to be great. That will be fantastic. I will be, as people hear this, I'm at a theme park myself. We're going to Dollywood and then to West Virginia to get another park, New River Gorge.
Nice.
National Park. We're going to be at.
Perfect.
Which is all a lead in for what's going on at Afford Anything.
So on the Afford Anything podcast, Doug and Heather Bonaparte. So Doug is hilarious. He works in the financial space in New York, but he's really known for all of the jokes he cracks on Twitter. Probably one of the best financial comedians in the written form that I have.
We're right here.
Other financial comedians. Other.
So he and his wife joined me to talk about money for couples and how they manage money as a family.
That's fantastic. Doug and Heather Bonaparte, great people.
Yes.
On the Afford Anything show. We'll have them, by the way, as part of our Halloween week here too. And Paula, like everything, you're taking the positive, we'll take the negative. So we're a good 1-2 punch. We're talking about couple communication horror stories.
Ooh.
Gonna be good. But that's it. The Afford Anything podcast, where finer podcasts are found. And trivia winning podcasts.
Right? Exactly. The trivia winner hosted.
Host.
You should put that at the top of your graphic. I won Stacking Benjamin's trivia once.
That'll be my new Twitter bio, trivia winner.
All right, that's going to do it for today. Big thanks to everybody for hanging out and giving us the gift of your ears. Thanks to everybody who hung out with us and was a part of this podcast on YouTube. You guys were fantastic, and we were able to include quite a few of you in the show. So thanks for being a part of the show, making this really fun. Again, we're here Monday afternoons. And if you get our newsletter, the 201, stackingbenjamins.com/201, you'll get a note that says, hey, here's the time we're going live, and come join us, and hope you can hang out with us on YouTube. All right. At this point of the show, though, we turn it over to Doug and ask him, Doug, what are our 3 big to-dos today?
Well, Joe, first, and this might be the first time I've ever said this in 16 years, take some advice from Joe. You've got all these things you want to do with your life. You should do.
just don't do it on a scissors. He said do.
Or, said differently by Doc G, we seem to want to make rules for how other people should live their lives. But if you're one of those people who likes working, then do that. Second, don't forget about what OG said. If you give yourself a tight time frame on financial goals, you're more likely to hit them. And if you don't, you'll probably come closer than if you cut yourself too much slack. But the big lesson? Don't give Joe's mom any ideas about buying t-shirts. Listen to this. She just bought a shirt that said, I'm with stupid, and there's a finger on it that points, mistakenly, right at me. Huge mistake, Ma. You should have bought the one that pointed at Joe. Thanks to the incredible Paula Pant for joining us today. We're getting t-shirts that say, I'm with Paula, except, about pop culture. We'll also include links to our Afford Anything podcast and our show notes at stackingbenjamins.com. Thanks to Doc G for hanging out with us today. We're going to print up some Purpose is for Everyone shirts that I think you're going to love. You'll find his fabulous podcast, Earn and Invest, wherever you listen to finer podcasts. And finally, thanks to OG for joining us today. Doug checks notes. Looks like we're not printing up any t-shirts for OG. Okay, but if you're looking for good financial planning help, head to stackingbenjamins.com/OG for his calendar. This show is the property of SB Podcasts, LLC, copyright 2025, and is created by Saul-Sehy. Joe gets help from a few of our neighborhood friends. You'll find out about our awesome team at stackingbenjamins.com, along with the show notes and how you can find us on YouTube and all the usual social media spots. Come say hello. Oh yeah, and before I go, not only should you not take advice from these nerds, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any financial decisions, speak with a real financial advisor. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and we'll see you next time back here at the Stacking Benjamin Show.